Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. So I think for a lot of people, the idea of being in charge, having power and being paid is winning. And the more that time goes on, the more I realize this. Throughout this whole time, all you heard was from the teams that are being paid. And it's always around the time they're getting paid. And it's time and time again, if we look at historical data that shows us the person who's actually proposing this new spend proposal tombstoned their own validator. They're part of the USTC repeg team, which has taken a considerable amount of money and funding to then more or less put it up front and say, we need to launch it on chain first, like we were told to. It's really interesting stuff. So like I was saying, the idea of winning for these people is simply being paid and being in power. And they know once they're paid for 3 months, a month, it doesn't matter after that. What matters is they show up at the next spend proposal and they try to get the community's support. And there's something that's really strong with voting power. And the reason why somebody has voting power is because they're actually trusted. When you have no trust, you're not going to get any voting power, which means you're going to lack the ability to get funding, i.e. you're not doing all of the right things. If we then start giving paychecks to bad people, we're letting them skip the queue. They're not having to do any work. They're not having to put any of the time in that the rest of the people put in. So with this being said, right, do you really think it's okay to even remotely let someone who's tombstoned their own validator even develop anything for the blockchain in the future? The obvious answer to this simply is no. For me, this is always going to be a no with a veto, time and time and time again. And the reason why it's going to be a no with a veto now is they just keep trying it. They're waiting till the community gets so sick of either the current teams that are available, they're sick of the way things are going, and they're going to get you into a real dark place, as to which they would have put you there to begin with, and then they offer the solutions up. Now, like I said, this team hasn't even got remotely close to repegging USTC. And the biggest issue I find with this is we end up with quite a lot of angry investors, and those angry investors then take out on the people that hang around and are there all the time to support people. Whereas, like I said, you just don't hear from these people unless they want a paycheck. And it's very dangerous for us as a community to get to these positions. And the reason why I think we keep getting to these positions is because of the current paid team. So if we look at the L1 team currently, what are they doing? Nothing. They're silent. They're not even responding. This is the worst thing. And this is why people are like, oh, HCC, you know, why don't you just brush things under the table? People change. People don't change, okay? They're doing the exact same thing they were doing to me before they were doing it to me. They're doing exactly what Terra Rebels did to me and what everybody else has done to me. Every time I don't do what they want me to do, they ignore me. They remove me from the circles. They stop information from getting to me. And they just don't speak to me. And this is why I say to people, people just don't change. They consistently go back to their bad ways. And we've seen this time and time again, right? Look at the behavior, the attitudes, the attacks that were being sent out from the USTC repeg team. And the person who's supposed to be leading that team had stated to quite a lot of us, you know, or if they start playing up, we'll remove them, we'll replace them, we won't have anybody bad mouthing and stuff like that. It never happened. And it's, once again, my trust in these people is, there is no trust. I have zero trust for any of these people, period. They shouldn't be near any technology. We shouldn't be giving them any money. And for those who think the money for the repeg was well spent, it isn't. It really isn't. The fact that they just wanted to go just off chain, it was a big red flag from the beginning for me, because I had stated to Redline, we should chase this on chain specifically. The Cosmos is big. We should chase this specifically on chain. It will give us everything we need to go off chain, including test data, without even having to go through the route of getting test data. You would do everything all correctly. And this is the biggest issue, right? Everybody wants to cut corners. Everybody thinks they know best. And Everybody has a very condescending attitude to one another, whereas myself, I'm always willing to work with anybody, right? And I think this is something that a lot of people don't notice. If we look at the United Vision recently, who has gone off of their own back and picked something up from that? Frag. Frag has gone, he picked up a dynamic commission and he just started working on it. You know, things are going on in the background. If people think that I don't work with people, you're hugely mistaken. I work with everybody who's willing to work with the chain, for the chain, to put the chain in a better place. They're not working for a paycheck and they're doing it because they want to do it. Like I said, all of these people, the the care for the chain, the care for the people on the chain, and the care for the projects on the chain is zero to nothing for these people, because we're just paying them paychecks at the end of the day. They don't care, right? And they're going to sit there and they're going to say the same thing in their head. They don't care about me. Why should I care about them? And this is the attitude we're going to be stuck with if we're paying people that just do not give two tits to anything at this point. And it's sad that, you know, the L1 team, they've gone so quiet. They're not returning funds. They're not doing what they should be doing. And they're just coming out of the bag saying, oh, what dApps do you want us to help? You know, pick from the list. Pick from the list of problems that we've got. It's one of those things where I don't ever want to see us as a community get to a point of where it's that dark that this looks like a good option, because it's not. Okay, it's comprised of people we do not know. We don't know any of them. We don't know if Bilbo's real, but what we do know is their ability to get stuff done is zero to none. And I'm saying this because how can you, as a developer who knows so much about the blockchain, tombstone your own validator? And if you think that that's, you know, oh, okay, maybe they just made a mistake. No, tombstoning is a very basic thing to do. The reason why it punishes so heavily, because it's ridiculous you doing it. The likelihood of someone actually double signing is because they were trying to do something they shouldn't have been doing. And that's why the punishment's so severe. I'm not buying into any of this. Something to take note of. It doesn't matter if you know or no with a veto or whatever. If it reaches quorum, they're still going to lose their deposit if it isn't a yes vote. So if it passes, yes, they're going to get their money back. If it fails at any point, or it doesn't reach quorum, they're not getting their deposit money back. And it's as simple as that. So if people are getting shouted at because they've done a no with a veto, it doesn't matter. This proposal here, my own proposal, I voted no for. Oh, I'm not going to get the 5 million LUNC back. And I knew that before I even jumped into it, because the idea behind my proposal was to fail. But once again, right, folks, it doesn't matter if you know or no with a veto, they're still going to lose that proposal. For me, it is going to be a no with a veto for the simple fact that they just keep doing this. They'll just keep proposing. They don't care about the community. They'll keep ramping it up. And yeah, it absolutely sucks. I believe we need a KYC system. Currently, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the LUNC stabilizing system and what we really need to get our blockchain to a point where a project would look at it and go, yeah, I probably might launch over there, actually. Oh, I'll give some thought into launching over there. The dedicated L2 team is going to take some time to find a group of people that are willing to just put time into the chain, kind of similar to what Strafe, myself, and Frag are doing at the moment. You know, that's something that we should never rush into. We shouldn't rush into it. We definitely shouldn't rush into it. We shouldn't rush into anything. We should take our time. We should find the right people and allow them to show themselves to us and, you know, do everything correctly. The pay per mile system, the pay per milestone system, the dynamic commission, the dynamic tax, project whitelisting, the snapshot system, and then a native asset cleanup, I think are all things on the chain currently that we need to get on top of sooner rather than later, for the specific reason that these are likely things that are preventing people from launching. The project whitelisting would introduce a method where a project could do what Coin's doing currently, where they're going to try get whitelisted and exempt from the taxes and from the burn taxes. That can really help a project as much as you think. So, well, you know, they're going to be all the taxes and stuff like that. We could set it so, for example, they avoid taxes for a year only, and then they get taxed after. There's so many different routes we've got to drive incentives, but project whitelisting is something we should look at sooner rather than later. This native asset cleanup for me, as much as the quant team believe that they can save all of the native assets, we need them, blah, 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 blah. They don't know how much money it costs people on a regular basis. We can see this. A lot of people that do multiple swap, they get rid of those coins and they get charged to get rid of those coins. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's just one of those sectors in our system that we just need to go, yeah, you need to go. You're part of an old system. We don't need you. And we're stretching ourselves too thin if we're going to try repeg, I don't know, like 99 stable coins, not just USTC. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand with the quant team, is they're not just trying to repeg USDC. They're doing them all, spreading themselves rather thin. The snapshot system is being worked on in a few different places. I'm not going to say who's working on them or whatever, but what I do know is they are being worked on, and this gives the ability for a validator to spin up a node quite easily, pretty much just getting the infrastructure, running through a couple of command lines, and then simply using that snapshot to do the rest. It's a real quick and easy method for introducing people into the validating set. We need to fill up sooner rather than later. So for me, once again, these are all things that I'm looking at that I think to myself, this is what we could stabilize our system with. This is what we could bring forth a better environment, which is more beneficial for everybody. It allows everybody to grow. It doesn't punish everybody when the volume's real low. For me, it's all about stabilizing LUNC. So the dynamic tax and the dynamic commission, they're going to work so well in sync that once they're in place, you will start to see a huge drastic change in the Nakamoto efficient, the way tax is handled generally. The fact that taxes will be low when the chain is low in volume will just be a godsend for everybody, right? And then the chain starts booming and we're all getting these heavy tax brackets. It's understandable at that point. And it's at that point, right, you're more than likely going to say, hey, I'm willing to pay the extra pound in gas to make this trade right now because I'm going to make so much money from it. The chain needs to benefit alongside everybody else. So having the system in place, which is just there, it works, it's automated and nobody can argue with it. You can't sway with it. It's going to be really good. For me, stabilizing LUNC is critical right now. We don't need any more paid teams. We have the United Vision. It's being worked on and there's people in the background that are working on it. Something to take note of right now is, like I said, the reason why a validator has voting power is because they've gained trust. They've done a lot of work to get to where they've got to, and that has equated back out in voting power. Now, if we look at a group of people who, for example, don't have a lot of voting power, it's because they don't have a lot of trust, right? And that's the idea behind everything on our chain, is if you don't have trust, you don't put the work in, you don't put the time in, you don't show everybody you're capable, you're not going to get any voting power. Thus, that's not going to equate back out into commission, and you're not going to have what you need to run your systems because you're not doing things correctly. Whereas if you look at all nodes, they do everything correctly, they do everything right, so they've got the voting power and they can sustain things. Whereas, say, for example, we just gave a group of bad actors a buttload of funding and it puts them way above everybody else. And we're like, how are these bad actors getting to be so heavily funded? And why have they got all of these things? Well, because we're funding them. We're just simply giving them things, right? And it's, once again, voting power gets to the way it gets to because LUNC just doesn't have a lot of options on chain at the moment. Something that really saddened me recently, and I can't name them as much as I really want to, is I asked them, like, why are you building everywhere else, but you're not building on chain? And their simple response was, and I shit you not on this, it was, LUNC is a dead chain. Why would I put time into a dead chain? And for me, that really hit hard because for me, it's not a dead chain. And to see someone who's so high up in voting power and has got that much trust from the LUNC community to then turn around and say, it's just a dead chain, I'm just here for rewards. And it sucks to hear that. But ultimately, the only way we're going to change that person's attitude is if we stabilize the system and we make it beneficial for everybody to start coming back. Because this is a community coin. As much as people want to sit there and act like it isn't, it is. And if we all start to build, right, if everybody starts to build in order to gain voting power, to do all of these different things, right, you're going to see so much more brightness on chain. You're going to see so much more going on chain. People are going to think to themselves, right, I need to build into the chain. I need to build on the chain. I need to do all of these things to gain voting power, to gain the trust. And they're going to sit to themselves in their pitch meetings. They're going to go, yeah, we should probably make sure we integrate this into the chain, or people aren't going to use it. Whereas if they've got a paycheck, they could just go, well, we've got the paycheck, you know, we can do what we want. And there's nothing really they can do, because ultimately we're going to do it ourselves. We've got the money. They don't. It's our wallet. It's our cash, this, that, and the other. And it's all one of those things where we need to start to look at things for what they are, take them for what they are, and be very cautious moving forward about these kind of Trojan horses that keep coming up. So, you know, make wise decisions, go do your own research, take a look into things, have a deeper dive. But just know, people like myself, we're building silently in the background. We don't need to be up asking you for money and power of control. And that's not winning for us. Winning for us is you, right? Having a chain that works, having a chain that's pumping, that's booming, that's back up at a 13x and doing all of these amazing things again. It's so important that as a blockchain, we understand that our strongest point is our community, right? Without everything, nothing works without you, the community, being here, being involved, using it, telling your friends how amazing it is, telling your family and everybody else, people at parties, how great this blockchain is that you're using. That's what a blockchain depends on. It depends on you as a person having a good experience and then going and explaining that good experience to somebody else. And then that person gets involved, and then that process gets repeated over and over and over again. And I think that's something that is very, very poorly understood and poorly harnessed on our blockchain. But let me know what you think about all of this. Let me know what you think about the stabilizer. Let me know what you think about all of this. And other than that, folks, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.